Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Marvel Studios' IronHeart. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share, leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on IronHeart. And, of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, Sherry. So, yeah, IronHeart's out. I don't know if y'all knew that, but yeah, they barely really gave this any marketing whatsoever. And I'm not really sure why Marvel was hiding this one. Now, granted, to be fair, they never really truly marketed their television shows that well, but this one in particular, like, I hardly ever saw a trailer for it. I didn't really know what the story was. And again, like, you know, if I didn't have this on my calendar when I was like looking up what stuff are coming out, you know, for the channel to keep up with my schedule, I probably would have missed it too. So yeah, we will be talking about spoilers here. And so if you haven't watched it yet, go watch all three. I honestly enjoyed all three episodes. Besides some of the problems that we are going to dig into here, some of them are specific to spoilers, and some others are general stuff, mainly with story structure, with the beginning, and some of the side characters that we meet, like the Hood's group is the only group of characters that I don't really like. Nothing against the actors or the performances for that matter. It's just, to me, they're more caricatures as to actual characters. But besides those two things, really, that aren't spoilery, I think you're gonna have a good time. And another thing that I truly don't understand is why they are dumping this all basically within 2 weeks. We got the first 3 episodes this week, and I do think maybe you could have done 1 and 2 together. Because out of the 3, I do think 1 was the weakest, which it should be. You know, it's a weak start. But then episode 2 was better. And then 3 was great, besides some of the issues that I'm going to get into. But yeah, it just kept progressively getting worse, and I do think we probably could have benefited from a build and getting an actual 6 weeks in as opposed to the 2 that we're going to get. I do think they all go hand in hand with each other with all 3 episodes, absolutely. But again, I do think we could have watched an episode, taken a week break, got back into it, and it would have been just as fine for that matter. But yeah, let's now start to dig into the nitty-gritty of what I really liked, what I did not like about this show in particular, because no Marvel show is perfect. You know, it's always kind of the back in my mind, one of my thoughts when it comes to the MCU on what they should do to make their things better is that, one, they just need to know what the story calls for. Does it call for a movie, or does it call for a television show? If you don't have enough material to get all 6 episodes, then, you know, yeah, you make it a movie. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the big screen. You have a streaming service. Make it a Disney Plus original film. You did that with Werewolf by Midnight. You did it with the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy. Granted, I think those were like just over an hour each. But you know, you can make a 2-hour Disney Plus original movie, and I do think some Marvel properties do call for that. Now, is IronHeart one of those? We'll see when it comes to the second half, because yeah, the main problem that I have with this is with the Hood's group, and also with how we got to the Hood as well. You know what? Let's just go in order, right? Episode 1. In the beginning, you know, she's at MIT and she gets expelled, and this was another issue that I had with this show, is that it just really felt like it was in a rush to get to Chicago. Which, once she gets to Chicago, it does feel like the show is starting to breathe. I like what we're doing with the title sequences as well. When we see IronHeart, episode 1 was probably my favorite one, when she crashes in, the road's all messed up and it spells out IronHeart. That's really cool. Episodes 2 on the street sign, that was pretty cool as well. The third one, was it just the money that made IronHeart? That was pretty cool too, but I did like 1 and 2s quite a bit. But yeah, in MIT, like, the tempo was just so fast. It was just going really, 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 really quick. But yeah, once she gets to Chicago, it breathes in for a little bit, and this is where we get to meet the Hood's crew before she flies into Chicago. And, you know, it was all comedy and it was all silly, which is what I come to expect when it comes to a Marvel show or movie, right? Like, you're gonna have that comedy. It's part of their DNA. And I was like, okay, fine, you know, silly side characters, but am looking forward to get to know them a little bit. Then, you know, she has the interview with the cousin of the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos, and he has a weird arc. I don't know if I missed some of the cues within it, but, you know, he's really welcoming to her and all that. And, you know, later on, you know, when it gets to the big climactic final battle on episode 3, which I do have a problem with, again, we'll get into that in a little bit. But, you know, he's so welcoming, and then, you know, in episode 2, or is it episode 1? No, it's episode 2 when they do the job. He goes, hey, you ask a lot of questions. Maybe you need to stop doing that. Okay, whatever, but still welcoming and a cool guy. And then episode 3, he's just hitting people. Or like, it turns heel, like automatically has beef with Riri and going like, I never trusted you from the beginning. It's like, you're the one who recruited her. Like, yeah, sure, he may have told you, but you still went along with it. Like, he just had a real big change of a character arc. But the other side characters, the hacker, the other smart girl that I really don't know what she does on the job, because I feel like Riri does her part of the heist as well. And then the two twins who punch people, they have their one note, and that's really what they stick to. And then that's it. Like, all they are is just to chime in with some comedy lines. And again, they're so over the top and they're so animated, which can work, especially within a Marvel television show. To me, it just didn't click. I just want to get endeared to them with other things. Like, I want to know their backstory a little bit more. Yeah, we go into it a little bit on episode 2, where, you know, we give the rundown of how they recruited each one, but there was just nothing to really sit there. It was just back to jokes, just ha ha ha, silly, 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 and then just moving on. Like, even in episode 3, when, again, I don't remember the cousin's character name, but he comes in, he beats that girl, like, he beats her for having the hood on, which, you know, it scared me when she had the hood on. I was like, girl, you stupid, put the hood back. Because I know about the hood on the television show anyway. And he slams her down, and it was like, whoa, chill. Like, no, y'all should be a little bit more angry. And, you know, Riri gets a little bit more mad. And then she's like, he didn't even apologize. And like, after a day, everyone was just good. Again, you have a television show, you have the time to do it. It's gonna be fine if you take some a little bit more time just to get me a little bit more endeared to this group of people, especially since they matter to Riri, right? Episode 3, when, you know, everything's going down and she is with Natalie, and she's going, no, don't save me, save the crew, because she cares about the crew. It's not just about staying face. She does care about them, right? So, you know, she's going to save them. Let me start to care about them a little bit too, because honestly, when we got to episode 3 and everyone was losing oxygen, besides Riri and the Hood, I really couldn't care less if any of them died. Now, hopefully in the second half, now that, you know, we're going to get into a little bit more meat on the bone within the story, which I do think we're probably going to have to just really slimmer into Riri's story, because she has a lot of things that she has to overcome. I don't know within these 3 episodes we're going to have the time to dig into them a little bit more. But yeah, it's just one note, just making jokes. They don't really seem to get that upset by anything. If they do, it's just a quick move on, whatever, Bob's your uncle. Let's go on into the mission, where honestly y'all only have purpose in those scenes. And I just think there's a little bit more that we could do with them. Now, all the other side characters, love them. Everything with Riri's crew on it. Han Solo is back. I don't remember. I think his last name's Elrich, but he's playing Obadiah's son, which is really, really cool. Was not expecting that whatsoever. That was a big reveal. I think it was a little flat how the reveal went, because I just don't understand why he would keep the ashes in a bag. You could clearly afford a house. You can afford a bunker with all of these weapons, but you can't afford an urn. Like, come on, man. Like, I get it. The writers were like, well, he's never going to just flat out admit that he's Obadiah's son, so how else do we get this reveal? I know. He never took the urn out of the bag, and the name is on it. And, you know, that scene was really good. I feel like that was most tender scene out of the whole entire show. Again, I hope we get into some more, especially between her and her mom. I did have a problem with the mom character at first. And my issue is that every time she would talk to Riri, besides the first initial reaction, it was just always, up here on 10, 100%. And, there just really wasn't room to grow within it. It was just always like, what are you doing about all that stuff? I was like, damn, mom, chill. But then later on, when she is talking with Natalie and, they're having that conversation, she goes, well, sometimes the best way to be there for Riri is to just force your way in. And I was like, okay, so that's what you've been doing. And then all was forgiven there. The Natalie character is very, very interesting to me, especially within today's day and age with AI and all that. And, love the whole conversation with the mom going like, can you make one of him to the stepdad? I don't remember his name. And she's like, no, I can't. One, I don't even know how I made Natalie. Like, it was just in my brain and it was going through it, which is really scary because that could happen within the future pretty soon. But, she just made it with the brain and knowing, like, what are the repercussions of it. Like, again, she's having the conversation with Ezekiel. I'm in the Marvel universe now, and I'm Obadiah's son, apparently. And she's having the conversation with him, like, what would be the ethical repercussions of a said thing if I was able to do with the brain and able to make AI with some past people who are no longer here with us? That's a really good debate to have, and I think that's a conversation that we need to continue to explore. This calls for, a television show, right? Like, she's battling AI. She has to come over her grief of losing her best friend and her stepfather that she was really close to. I also really like the choice of that being the reason why she wants to make the iron suit. Honestly, I would have been fine with the base level because I can, just to really stick it to the rich, because that is also a theme within the show too. They can make things because they have the profits for them. I cannot. And the Hoods group attacks the rich. That is a clear theme throughout. So I honestly wouldn't have minded that people are like, no, why else do you want to make the iron suit? And she's just hell-bent on, because I can, and I can make it better once I get the actual resources. I would have been fine with just that, but I also really liked the way that they went with, no, it's because my stepdad loved Tony. He would talk about him all the time, and that's why we would break the cars down. Again, with that flashback, when we got the confirmation of how they passed away. When they were bringing up 5 years, I don't know why I thought the blip. For some reason, it's like, what, did they blip back and then they died? Like, it would be, that would have been really traumatic to do the blip that way. But no, they died in a drive-by, and they were in the garage. And she's talking about the motor, like, you could just do this, you could just replace the motor and it would be fine. Why did you rebuild it from scratch? And he goes, because I can. And that is something Tony would do. We all saw Iron Man 1, right? He had all the cars in there. He would always be working on them because he would just go from scratch because he can. So really like that tidbit. It really helps with the character as well. But again, I would have been fine with the whole because I can and I will, just to prove a point, even with the lack of resources that I have. Now, I've been hinting at it throughout the whole entire show. My main problem is with the ending as well, besides, of course, the Hoods group. Because throughout the 3 episodes, there's the constant debate that Riri is not a villain, right? Not necessarily with us, because we know she's doing bad things. She's been doing bad things ever since from the beginning of the show, where she was making all of these, weapons and selling them at MIT, because, it's all about the money. She just sees the dollar amount. And she's turning a blind eye to all these heists and all these bad things that she is doing with this crew, because, she sees the money and, it benefits her immediately, right? Like, she's not a bad person, she just does bad things, right? And, we can all admit that the Hoods group is probably just a bad group for the most part, or a bunch of people who just do a lot of bad things. Which is why, that's to his point, goes, what's the difference if we're The Sopranos or if I forgot what the other show was. There's no difference. Like, no matter what, we're bad guys. It's just what the story is. And, from when she got on for the job, she agreed to do it after doing the escape room, which I feel like there was other ways that we could have gone about it. And she's going, I'm not going to hurt people. I'm just here to I just do tech, and I just want to get paid for it. Fine, by all means. Then we get to episode 3. And she's doing this battle with the cousin who doesn't like her suddenly. Again, unless I missed something, which is possible I did. They're fighting, and they're in the battle at the greenhouse, and the oxygen levels are going, all this stuff, and then here comes the suit. Natalie comes in with the suit, gets Riri back in, and they leave him to die. They leave him, so she killed him. I don't care. You can do the whole debate, like this is Jigsaw. Well, technically she didn't kill him. No, if you leave someone to die, you killed them. You could have saved it, you could have stopped it, or you could have gave it a chance to stop it. And I just feel like there was other ways that we could have gone about it and still got to the ending points that we did. Riri was already fighting him, right? When she gets in the suit, she can breathe. She is good. He is still fighting for his life. She could have been hesitant to save him and go, no, it's against my moral code. Let's save him too. Bring him out. The air is still struggling for them to breathe as she's getting them out. As soon as he gets him out of the green room, he is dead. And then you can still get to the ending where the Hood is talking with the Hood, and then the Hood shows the shadow of the armor with his dead cousin. And he can still make the conclusions because you can still make that. You can still draw that. And it would still make sense because we know the Hood is bad and is going to manipulate the reality so that Anthony Ramos' character, that I cannot remember the actual character's name, can be like, oh, Riri did this. Now I'm going to hurt her. You can still get to that conclusion with her not completely abandoning her code. Now, I know why they did that. So later on, when the Hood and IronHeart do go collide properly, and you go, you are a bad person. You left him to die. You killed him. And you are going to have to live with that. And I just feel like there was other ways that we could have gone about that, and we could have still got that dialogue. As for the second half of things I'm looking forward to, how her relationship with Ezekiel is going to be hurt quite a bit, I can imagine, because she left the piece over there that's going to be found. That adds to the panic attack. Again, does she keep Natalie or not? I would say no. I think Natalie is only for this season, but I do like the back and forth between them quite a bit. But I think, the overall lesson needs to be is you have to move on, and you do have to deal with your grief, and you do need to have these conversations, because anytime they are brought up, she just shuts down and she doesn't want to engage whatsoever. Even when, Ezekiel wanted to talk about his dad and his dad was passed away, she was completely cut off from it. She has to learn to be more accepting of emotions and all that. That is part of the arc that we are trying to tell here. And I think within that, Natalie does have to leave. But also, does that mean Natalie stays? But again, it's just the ethical reasons for it. If you lose someone, they die, and you are able to bring them back in hologram form, that's not really them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll have to see how the conclusion comes within that. But that one I'm intrigued to see as well. Again, when the Hood confronts her, because I would imagine we're not going to sit on ceremony alone. I think he's going to go straight to her, maybe attack her mom, attack the guy that she, I assume, likes. I think he is the brother of Natalie, which would make him her stepbrother. But I do feel like there's a romantic chemistry there. Maybe he is just a really good friend of Natalie's, because he talks about Natalie and the stepfather quite a bit. So, he's close within the family. Maybe he's just a family friend, and, they grew up together and they were siblings, but, maybe they would like to explore a little bit more. But again, I get romantic vibes when it comes to the two quite a bit. So I'm really interested to see how that going on. Color me locked in. I'm ready to go. Again, I don't know why we bundled 3 together and then we're going to end it all next week. I think the show is fine, and I think it's gotten better every single week. I don't know if it completely falls apart in the second half. Excuse me, sorry. But right now, again, I would say put the show on. I think it's a good time. Well, if you made it this far, I hope you did watch the show. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about it down in the comment section. Leave a like if you made it this far within a review. We did go a little bit long, but I had a lot of thoughts on these first 3 episodes. I had a really good time with it, and I just don't get the hate whatsoever, besides, for the obvious. And I don't want to put that on someone. Like, if you didn't like this show, let's talk about it. I don't want to put a certain label on people, but the fact that this show got review bombed before it even got released does kind of tell the kind of people who are going to openly bash against this. But if you did have a lot more problems, because look, I just went 20 minutes with me having problems with this show, but I was still able to go, yes, I have problems with this, this, and this, and this, but I still had a good time with it. If you had problems with this, this, and this, maybe it didn't work out. And I would like to have that conversation with you. So hit the comment section, leave a like if you made this far within a review. I do greatly appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button, as we will be going on this journey together for one more week. But until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.